Hey guys, I'm going to be doing an analysis of the Kentucky Derby, which takes place on May 5th, Cinco de Mayo. It's a good day. And so far it looks like it's going to be a race packed with a lot of speed. You have Trinnyberg, who's a sprinter that is really doesn't belong in the race. I personally don't believe he should be in the race. He's never gone even a mile. This is a mile and a quarter. He's bred pretty much for sprints. He's going to put up some very fast early fractions. In a 6 furlong race, he ran a 20 opening quarter. In a 7 furlong races, he constantly is running 22s and 23s. So more likely than not, we're going to see at least a 22 opening quarter in a mile and a quarter race, which is definitely not ideal for that distance. And then another speed horse you have in here is Hansen, probably more better known than Trinnyberg. Hansen was the winner of the Gotham in the Breeders' Cup Juvenile, and he did both of those on the lead. He ran a very quick opening fractions in the Bluegrass Stakes and got caught at the wire by Dullahan. And if he's able to slow that down and if he's able to stay off of the pace of Trinnyberg like he did in the Gotham, even though he has to be a little bit more back than a length or two, not even a length or two, is a half a length. He really needs to stay off the pace, stay off Trinnyberg's pace, and really come from off probably at least 6 lengths back, but I don't see that happening. I think he's just going to be right up there with Trinnyberg, maybe a length or two behind him, and they're going to be going way too fast for a mile and a quarter race. I believe he's gonna get buried, but he did in that fast Bluegrass. He did hold on for second. I mean, he ran a 46 opening. Was it half 2 quarters? Yeah. And I mean, that's not ideal. That's really fast, and he was still able to hold. I mean, in the 6 furlongs, he was 111. So, and it was a pretty fast race, 147 overall time, pretty fast time. And he still was up there. I mean, he was competitive. If he's able to stay back, he can do something. Then you also have Gemologist, who is undefeated, but he's pretty much a speedball. He can stay a little bit off the pace. I prefer him over Hansen, even though Hansen is my favorite horse. Just from a betting point of view, I don't see him being a great bet, Hansen. I don't even see Gemologist being a great bet, even though he hasn't done anything wrong in his career. He's won every race he started. He did do it on the lead, though, and the speed in this race, if he can run like he did in the Wood, third by two, if he can make it like third by 4, he may be able to run away with the race and steal it. But I think he's just going to be a little too close up to the pace, and he's going to get burned out. Another big speed horse in the race, who I believe it's the fastest buyer in the field, is Bodemeister, who ran a very impressive Arkansas Derby on the lead, though, and he's not going to get that easy of a trip on the lead this time. He's going to be challenged the whole way. And he's going to really have to show he's becoming a monster. He's going to have a big Brown-esque run. He's going to have to stay close to the lead and run away with the race. And hopefully none of the closers catch him. I just don't see it happening with all the speed in the race. He's not going to be able to get that early time he needs. I mean, the slower time he needs to really... I mean, he did run a 46, but a mile and 8, but I don't see him getting away with it this time. I believe he's gonna get caught up in that early speed duel with a bunch of other horses, and I just don't see it happening. I don't see it happening. And those are the major speed threats, in my opinion, that I like to talk about for right now. I mean, this is just the first analysis of just the horses, pretty much. Nothing to do with post positions and any of that stuff. That's going to be done tomorrow or Thursday with my father. Should be pretty interesting. And let's look at the horses I'm really interested in for win honors and like to round out those exactas and triples. I think my favorite horse in this race is definitely Creative Cause. I like his running style. He stays, I think, right where you're gonna need to be in this race. He likes to stay off the lead, but not too far back to where he's gonna get caught up in anything. I believe he was closing in his last race, and if he had, I believe if he had a little bit more distance, he would have caught. I'll have another, and I have another. Don't take anything away from him. He ran a great race, but I just believe if it was a 1.25 mile race, Creative Cause would have caught him. He's at a Giants causer, which I really like. I mean, the trainer, Mike Harrington, don't know much about. For the year, he's only winning at 10%, which isn't a good sign, but I mean, when you just have a horse that's a good horse, this is definitely it. He's got a grade 1 win as a 2-year-old and a grade 2 win as a 3-year-old. I just believe he has the best running style for this race. I like his bloodline. I know he could get the distance. I think he wants the distance. And I just believe he's the best horse, the best horse, in my opinion, that I'm going to bet. But I think the safest bet would probably be Union Regs. He just has, I think he's proven himself against a little bit better company. He's ran on this track before, Creative Cause ran on this track. In the Breeders' Cup, came in 3rd. But I just think Union Regs, I think he's just a little bit of a safer bet, a little bit of a better bet. He's a really good horse, though. He's won the Champagne. He's won the Fountain of Youth, which he came from off the pace, and he was coming off the pace in the Florida Derby. And he just started a little too late in the Florida Derby. I believe this time he'll start at the right time. The little extra distance, I think, is going to be good for him. He stays, right where he's going to need to be, hopefully. I mean, he's a little bit of a safer bet than Creative Cause, but I'm definitely going to be taking Creative Cause. And if you're really looking for super closers, Dullahan is the horse I'd definitely suggest for you. In the Bluegrass, he came from out of the clouds. He's 11th, and he even in 11th to 10th to 9th, then to 3rd, then he ended up winning. And that's just how he is his whole career. He comes from 9th, 10th, and he makes up a lot of ground in the end. And trained by Dale Romans, good trainer. I believe this horse is he's probably not going to be that long of a shot, but he's definitely, if you're looking for a deep closer, this is definitely the one I would suggest. And there's also Sabercat, who is another closer who used to run a little bit different, but now he's adopted more of that closing style. And I believe in this race, Sabercat, who's trained by Steve Masterson, which is my favorite thing. He's one of my 3 favorite trainers. But he is just a dead closer, and with all the speed that's going to be in this race, I mean, he is just going to gobble that ground up at the end. So even in the bottom of exactas, the bottom of triples, I mean, not really exactas. I'd put him more in triples than superfectas, but he could win the race. I'd personally go with Dullahan over him for a deep closer, but I'd definitely put this guy in superfectas and triples just to have him in there, because he's definitely going to gobble up a lot of room at the end if this race goes how it's supposed to on paper. And then another horse I'd like to talk about is Take Charge Indy, who I think is a good horse. I just don't see him getting the easy trip he did in the Florida Derby on the lead. I believe there's going to be just too much on the lead. I think without the lead, he's not going to be as good of a horse. Every race he's ever run where he hasn't gotten the lead or to the lead quite early, he hasn't really run well. Well, he came in 2nd once when he was 6th, but still not a win. But yeah, if he doesn't get the lead and get very decent fractions, I don't see him winning, even though I think he's a very good, solid horse that we're going to see a lot from later on. Then I'll have another who I talked about a little bit before, like I said. I just think the distance is going to be a little too much for him. There's also Alpha. I just think he's a little bit outclassed. I mean, he did give Gemologist a run for his money, but I just think he's just... I think he'll be able to run well in grade 1s, but I think if he's really going to go out there and win a lot of races, it's going to be more grade 2, grade 3 style races. Not that there's anything wrong with that. That's still quite an accomplishment, but I just don't see him fitting into the Derby picture, even though I know he's probably going to take some money at least. I would just go... There's a few other choices I'd rather go with than him. And, just 2 more horses I want to talk about. One is El Perdino, who I actually like to beat Union Rags in the Florida Derby, but he ended up not beating him. Lost to him there. And, yeah, I thought maybe he was going to be a better horse than he is. I mean, there's still time for him to improve throughout his career, but I just think he's going to end up being like a grade 2, grade 3 horse as well, like Alpha. And I don't see him winning the Derby. He could come from slightly off the pace and win, but I just think there's better horses to bet than this guy. I mean, he is a good horse though. I would maybe use him in Superfectas. And there was one more horse I wanted to talk about. Before we wrap this up, it's just a quick little analysis. We're gonna have more tomorrow or the next day. Once they release the once they do, the post position draws and all that stuff, because that just adds other dimensions into the race. But Liaison was the other horse I just wanted to touch on a little bit. I believe he would have been a better horse coming into this, a better bet, if he wouldn't have had that thing where he clipped heels and lost the jockey. He hasn't really run right since, because he lost his first maiden race, then he won 3 races in a row. And since he's clipped heels with the other horse, he could have, I don't know, it just could have messed him up, because he hasn't run well. And this was a horse I was really looking forward to, because I like horses like Indian Charlie. And Bob Baffert's one of my favorite trainers, but he's a horse that you might, if he runs to what he was running before he clipped heels, he could finish in the money, even in Exactas, but I just don't see it happening anymore. And that's it for now, guys, and I'll see you next time.